How's everyone doing? I'm back here again for a new video, and in this video I'm going to be doing a concert review. I've never done one of these before, but I wanted to do one because last night I went to go see my all-time favorite band, Guns N' Roses, for the very first time. And I just want to talk about it. Guns N' Roses has been a band that I've loved ever since I was very, very young. When I was about 3 or 4 years old, my dad made me a videotape of all the best drummers in the world, like Neil Peart and all them. And one of the drummers was Matt Sorum. And on that tape, he put Matt Sorum's drum solo on the Guns N' Roses Use Your Illusion Tour DVD. But at the beginning of that tape, he also included the band's performance of You Could Be Mine. And that was the first song I ever heard by Guns N' Roses, and ever since then, like I said, when I saw them when I was 3 or 4 years old, ever since then, they have been my favorite band. And they have been the one band that, I've listened to my entire life. I've loved them and all their. Of course, I love the classic lineup, but I've also loved the other lineups that the band has had, and they have always been my number one band that I've wanted to see live. And last night I got to see them in Charlotte, North Carolina, at the Spectrum Center, and I want to talk about this. Now, the first time I heard about that they were coming to Charlotte was back in June, I think. They announced all of their dates for their fall 2019 tour, and immediately I was like, they're coming to Charlotte, they're finally coming someplace close, because they never really come close. I think the closest place that they come to is Virginia Beach, which really isn't doable. I was hoping that they would eventually go, because I live in Roanoke, so it's not. Well, I mean, I live near Roanoke, so it's not really it wasn't really doable. I wanted them to come close. I was hoping they'd come to Greensboro, but I was really happy that it came to Charlotte because it was a doable. We were able to drive, and I so I told my mom's boyfriend Mike, and I was like, hey, they're coming, and their tickets are going on sale on this day, and he told me that he would get on his computer. I gave him my credit card, and he bought 2 tickets for both of us. Yeah, ever since June, I've been waiting for this. I took 2 days off work, and yesterday we drove up to Charlotte, North Carolina, and it was the first time I'd ever been to Charlotte. I've never been there, so it was cool seeing all the really tall buildings and everything like that. But it was just when we got there, I've never been into a stadium that big. The biggest stadium I've been to so far is the Greensboro Coliseum. I don't know if the Spectrum Center is bigger or if it's as big. It seemed a little bit bigger, but I'm not really sure. But we were sort of up, kind of high. We were in the back, but we were up high. But we were kind of close to the center of the stage, which I was really happy with because we were able to see everything. And the opening band, Shooter Jennings, was the name of the opening band. I never really heard about him till before the show, and I looked him up. He's kind of like a southern rock type of band, and he was all right. They started at 7. But Guns N' Roses didn't start until about 8:15, and they put on an amazing show. Everybody was great. They started off with a few older songs, "It's So Easy," "Mr. Brownstone," and then they did "Chinese Democracy," and then they did "Welcome to the Jungle," "Double Talk and Jive." And one thing that I loved was I could tell that Axl was in a really good mood. He was talking to the crowd, he was joking around, and he moved around a lot. One thing I've noticed that he's been doing on this tour, and since they started this tour that they're doing, the Not in This Lifetime tour, I've noticed is that he'll back up to the back of the stage and then he'll run up to the front of the stage, and I can tell he's doing that because he's in his 50s. He can't run back and forth on stage like he used to, so he's starting to do this to kind of make up for it. But so he did that a lot, but he also ran back and forth a couple times during the show as well, and everybody else, going back and forth. The rhythm guitarist Richard Fortus, he was great. Duff, of course, was great as well. Slash, I noticed, kind of stayed over to his to his own side of the stage for most of the show. I noticed some people were saying that Slash is starting to sort of stay on one side, and he did. Throughout most of the show. Sometimes he would walk over to the other side of the stage and play, but for the most part he kind of stayed over to his one side, and then when he walked up to the front of the stage he would stay on that side. But there were points where he was spinning around, and you could tell that he was having a good time as well, even though he wasn't moving around as much. He wasn't moving around a whole lot. Or as much as Axl was, but he still, was really moving around a lot. I thought the drummer sounded great, Frank Ferrara. I really like his drumming. I think next to of course Steven Adler and Matt Sorum, he's my favorite drummer that Guns N' Roses has had. I really like his drumming. Dizzy Reed was great, and Melissa Reese was also cool too. I think it's really cool that Guns N' Roses has a female member of the band. I think it's really cool. That she's in the band, and her vocals were really great throughout the whole show. Now they played pretty much every song that you would expect them to play, except for Patience. That was the only song that I wish that they had played, and I was kind of disappointed that they didn't. They did play a few covers in the show. Of course they play Live and Let Die, which was amazing, and they also of course play Knocking on Heaven's Door, and they did play a cover of Slither, which is a song from Slash and Duff McKagan's old band Velvet Revolver that they had with Scott Weiland. And they played that, and I thought Axl sounded great doing that. And they also played a song called Wichita Lineman, and I kind of wish that they would have, instead of played Wichita Lineman, I kind of wish that they would have played Patience instead, because that was the only song that they didn't play that, I love. It's one of my favorite songs. But then again, I also love the song Yesterdays, which I know that they've been playing on this tour, and I wish they could have played that. And I also kind of wish that they would have played Catcher in the Rye from Chinese Democracy, because that's actually one of my favorite songs from Chinese Democracy. But other than that, the rest of the show was great. Live and Let Die was crazy. For those who haven't seen any videos or anything of this tour, Axl does still hit those notes. He he hits those notes those 3 times in the song, and he did that, and he still does that. I have noticed that he's kind of singing stuff in a lower register, and I think he's doing that so he can hit those notes. He's not singing at the top of his lungs like he used to, but I think he's doing that so that when he has to hit those notes, he can, and he can preserve his voice throughout the show. But yeah, Live and Let Die is great. At the very end, the lights were really rapid, and it kind of messed with your eyes after that. That was the only thing about it. What else? Knocking on Heaven's Door was great. It was amazing to just be in a crowd and being able to sing Knocking on Heaven's Door with all those people and knowing that you're a part of that, and just seeing your favorite band live. There's nothing else that can compare to that. And singing a song that you've heard, everybody sing, and you wanted to be a part of it, and being a part of that is amazing. They played 4 encores. They played Don't Cry, The Seeker by The Who, Madagascar, and Paradise City. During Madagascar, there was a little bit of mess up. For some reason, Axl's earpiece, he couldn't hear the bass and the drums, and so he asked the crew to turn the bass and the drums up. But when he did that, Melissa Reese's voice went up really high. And after they were done playing that song, he was telling a story of how when he told the people working the show to turn the bass and the drums up, Melissa Reese's voice went up so high that he said that she sounded like a chipmunk, and he said that he was trying his best not to laugh, hearing her, sounding like a chipmunk. So it was cool. I could tell that Axl was in a really good mood throughout the entire show. He made several jokes throughout the show. Like there was one point where right before they played "You Could Be Mine," which is my favorite Guns N' Roses song, he said, "And now here's some easy," or he said something like, "Now here's some here's some easy, soft listening music," and then he named a radio station. I assume it's one of the radio stations in Charlotte. I didn't recognize the name of the radio station, but I like how he said that, and then they go into "You Could Be Mine." They also did a cover of "Wish You Were Here" while they were wheeling Axl's piano out before they did "November Rain." It's an instrumental one. It's just Slash and the rhythm guitarist Richard Ford is playing. Slash is playing acoustic in that part, and it sounds really good, and the rest of the band is playing. And then they bring out Axl's piano to the front of the stage, and then the thing that he's sitting on is, it looks like the back of a motorcycle. The seat that he's sitting on, the seat part of a motorcycle. And then he sits down into it, and then he played November Rain, which was amazing. And he kind of joked at the beginning of it where he played the first two notes, and then he looked out into the audience, and then he played the other ones, because he knew that when he played those first couple notes, how the audience was going to react. And I like that. I like that he played around with the audience. I really love that, and it really added a lot. And he talked a good amount. I've heard some people say that he's not talking a whole lot during between songs, but I thought he talked, right much. Even after they played The Seeker, which was the second encore, he goes, "Are you guys still hanging in there?" Because he probably knew by that point it was like 10:40 something. It was almost 11 o'clock, so he's probably like, "You guys still with us?" Because they've been playing since, like I said, since 8:15 to 11 is how long that they played. But yeah, they did that. What else? What else do I want to mention? I don't know, just hearing "Sweet Child of Mine," just hearing "Welcome to the Jungle," just hearing, just all those songs that I grew up listening to it was just amazing. And being able to see my favorite band and just being a part of that was just so incredible. Now, I did pick up a t-shirt that I want to show. I wanted to get a t-shirt that was specific to the show. I wanted to get a t-shirt that had the exact date, and I was kind of hoping that they would have a shirt that said "Not in This Lifetime Tour," the name of the tour. But then I saw this one, and it doesn't say "Not in This Lifetime Tour," but this shirt is specific to the show. And I'll show you guys that now.